Welcome back, and it's time to get into our interview segment. We're going to be speaking about a pool, swimming. That's a sport. Jason Danford is arguably Kenya's greatest swimmer, together with his brother David. Actually, Jason Danford won gold at the Commonwealth Games, did sing the national anthem in Swahili. It's still something that we remember all about. But what about the sport? It's the year 2019 going into 2020. It's a qualification year for the Tokyo Olympics. Plus, the Kenya Swimming Federation has had its own internal problems administratively, which they're trying to sort, and that means they've got to get into an election, and with a new constitution that fits into the FINA, which is the global swimming body, KANA, which is the African swimming body, and also aligned with the Sports Act. And to speak about that is the Secretary of the Nairobi region, actually one of the two very active regions, Mombasa being the other one, Ken Karani, who's also a swimming coach. Ken, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And let's just start from the easy point. Kenya won a bronze in a medley relay at the African Games in Morocco. But when they won that bronze medal, the women's medley relay, what happened is Kenya was disqualified and an appeal was lodged and the medal reinstated. So it stands. Maybe we could start from that bronze medal that came from swimming. How does it work when it comes to the people who are on the pool? In athletics, they call them track judges. They're the judges who are at the pool who decide this should have been a disqualification. There is an appeal, a jury of appeal that looks back at the reasons you give, and such that Kenya eventually retained the bronze medal.
First and foremost, thank you very much for inviting me here today. I'd like to shed some light on that. The first mistake that was done by the turn judge, we call them turn judges, was that it was a medley relay, but on his sheet he wrote an IM, 200 meters IM, and it was a medley relay.
So IM, in simple terms,
it's individual medley.
Individual medley.
Medley, whereby you swim. It's an individual event.
Okay.
You do like fly, back, breast, and free.
So
but
there's a butterfly, the breaststroke, the freestyle.
There's no. We start with it's butterfly back.
Butterfly.
Back,
backstroke, breaststroke,
free. That is individual.
That is on your
own.
Yes.
Just on your own. But here we had 4 swimmers.
Yes.
4 swimmers swimming a medley relay. So the mistake he did first was to write individual medley. 200 individual medley. So that one was just a total mess. So that messed him up. The beautiful part is that our officials were alert, and they took it on immediately, and we got them the bronze medal. So that's how it came home, because of his mistake. He did not know exactly what he was talking about. The other thing that he did was he wrote that on the turn, the swimmer did free fly kicks on breaststroke. Based on the investigation on the videos that were shown, nothing of that sort happened. So I mean, the jury decided that now this was just something that was not correct. He did not know exactly what he was doing. And that is how Kenya got the medal here.
Well, that's the story of Kenya winning medals. And also remember that Kenya won 2 gold and a silver at the Youth African Games. So the question is, how do you push these people? And that was last year, in 2018 in Algeria.
Yes.
And so the youngsters are the ones who are looking at qualifying for Rio. Now, I'm just looking at the qualification system before we get into the policy issues.
Yes.
Qualification systems for Rio de Janeiro, the 50-meter freestyle, and I'm looking at the women's, the A and the B is about 22, for the men's is B standard, where I would place Kenya, is 22.67, for the men 25.51.
Yeah.
And that's a freestyle. When it comes to the backstroke and the medleys and all, all these, as we get deeper into these events, and also the calendar that is out there, it means that the standards are high. 200-meter freestyle, 150.23. The individual medley, which you mentioned, the IM, for the 200 meters is 2:03, 2 minutes, 3 seconds for the men, and 2 minutes, 16 seconds for the women.
Yeah.
The question is, are we up here yet, standard-wise?
Let me just honestly tell you, there's nothing hard in this world. The other day you saw Eliud.
No, everyone's using Eliud for anything. No, except the Kenyan Premier League.
Honestly, I'll tell you this for free. I have interacted with very good coaches from South Africa and all over. I've brought them to Kenya to see what we do. And they told me, look here, young man, or look here, Ken, you have talent. But what should put your act together? as Kenya. And
I know you had a coach from KwaZulu-Natal some time back, and he's worked with some of the greatest. The question is,
but the thing is that
I'm not referring to anything difficult.
Yes.
It's just a time. If it's a 200 individual medley for the men, 2 minutes, 3.26 seconds. For the women, 2 minutes, 16.54 seconds.
We can do it. We can do it. And the beautiful part is that now, at the moment as we talk, there's a procedure that is going on. Every swimmer that is to qualify for any international meet, they have to come back home and square it out with the Kenyan athletes who are here. So that means that we're giving everyone a platform to work hard towards that. It motivates the swimmers back home also to work extra hard, and those who are outside there to work extra hard because there are people at home who would like to beat them on their game. So it's what I'm telling you is that we almost there. So
now let's start with this.
Yes.
Let's look at Morocco and what happened.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the calendar for qualification for Rio, and I'm going to refer to it. On the 19th of May 2020, that's the end period to achieve qualification time standards for relay events.
Yes.
So how do we get Team Kenya to get into relay events where they can meet the qualification standards for the relay?
You know, are you aware we are hosting Ghana?
Yes.
Yes. And way people have been trying to qualify. It's mad that the times that you've done in the year, past year, they count. So it's a process. You start from there, building up. And the swimmers have really been working hard towards that. So those are things that are also going to count in terms of that. And at the end of it, if you look at the calendar that is out, you'll see there's somewhere that we have qualifying times for Rio. Yes. Yes. So all the athletes, based on what they've been doing, they'll be called to that event so that they can be able to get the times.
So, and what about the individual event? Because this is where it becomes different. So, qualification standards for individual events, the end period is the 21st of June, 2020. These are dates that are basically cast in stone.
Yes.
So, how do you get athletes to qualify? Because at the end of the day, is it participation or is it about competition?
First of all, is competition. You know, in swimming, we talk about time. It's just time. It's not participation. You can participate and you don't acquire the time that is needed for you to qualify for that particular event, then you're not in it. So basically, first of all, the athletes are supposed to train. They're training towards a certain goal. In swimming, we have 3 seasons. We have the first season that is it's called the meso cycle, micro, and then the micro cycle. Those 3 are very key to a coach and also to any gala that's coming in. So you have the short term, we have the medium term and the long term. So as a coach, when I'm working with my swimmers, I have a swimming event in mind that in 2020 there's this that is going to happen. Same thing to the swimmer. So all the swimmers are being prepared towards that. So, and everyone, even a coach, is also ready for that. Even the federation, when we are setting out meets. For example, like...
so, Coach, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
So, how many swimmers do you think we can get, can actually meet the B standard for Olympic qualifying?
In Kenya. Basically, we have over 10 swimmers who can do that.
20, you can name them because these are...
I mean, like outside there, we have best swimmers that have done it.
Okay, give me some names.
If I start from Nairobi, Kenya, Nairobi, we have the Ndongas. They can do very well.
Yes.
They've done very well. We have the Kimanis. We have in Mombasa, we have very good swimmers.
Where does Emily Buteti, Sylvia and Maria Brunlena, where do they come in?
They're also very good swimmers. Also, they have represented Kenya in very good events out there, and they've done very well. And those are very good swimmers that you look at.
All right. So, Coach Ken Karani, at the end of the day, and the reason I'm asking about participation versus competition is because Kenya's women's rugby team, Kenya Lioness, they finished second at the African Championships, which was also the Tokyo qualifiers, but they qualified for Rio because South Africa have said, and they've put the standards down. For particular sports, we will not send a team through the African qualifiers. We will send them through automatic qualification slots. If it's going to take us 3 Olympiads, basically a series of 3 Olympic Games,
we train towards that.
There, then we train towards that. So they've said it's not about participation, it's about competition. So how much are we doing to get to that level?
At the moment, we're trying to reorganize ourselves. into making sure that we get the proper training facilities, training coaches, so that can be able to, who can take the sport to the next level. As you're aware, right now the Kenya Swimming Federation is run by the IMC. I mean the
Interim Management
Committee under Mr. Hag, and they're doing their best. Once we get the constitution in place and get the best officials.
I'll be coming to that, about the management, because that's what I want to get. But I want to add, because you mentioned about coaching.
Yes.
The question is the federation ready to get, for example, like Jason Danford, Kenya's best swimmer,
yes,
as far as medals and performance is concerned, because he's even been to, FIMA World Championships, the series that they do. Are you able to get him out of his journalism job? Because right now he's a business journalist.
Yes.
Are you able to get him, and so that he can pick up a whistle and a stopwatch?
He's a very good friend of mine. I've even tried to bring him here when we were doing the FINA World Aquatics Day. And
yes.
He had promised to come, but apparently, based on his assignment, what happened.
So is he willing to drop our profession?
It's something that we have to, he has to save himself. But I think he's an inspiration. Once we bring him here, in most of the events that we do.
But coach, besides being an inspiration,
yes,
the question is, are you able to tell him to drop the microphone, the pen, the notebook, so that he can stay with a whistle and a stopwatch, besides a pool?
But the thing is that he's a swimmer. He might not be a coach. What we should do in this country is that, first of all, we need to get the... but FINA has done it. We have gotten quite a good number of clinics coming to Kenya so that we can be able to equip our coaches with the right material, or rather the toolbox, to make sure they impart the right skills for our swimmers to go to the next level. So we emphasize on that a lot. And we do more exchange programs. More exchange program means that we get coaches from outside the country. We take our coaches outside so that they can be able to learn what other people are doing outside the country, like in South Africa. That is how we can do it. Our swimmers also applies to that. So if we expose our swimmers to what the South African do, like in the high performance center in Pretoria, for a week or two, definitely we'll be able to get those results.
Now to replicate that, the Kenya Swimming Federation needs to move away from an interim management committee. At the moment, it's headed by the chair of the Sports Dispute Tribunal, John Ohaga. And the question is, can the Kenya Swimming Federation get, as solid as an ice block? They deal with water, but here's a question.
Yes.
If you're going to do some of the things that have been raised, and this is what I have seen, is that the polls, they were to be held on the 26th of October, that's next weekend, but that were preceded by an annual general meeting, which was postponed, but they have to be held at another date for the simple reason. One, the World Governing Body, the FINA Compliance Committee, has raised objections to the proposed constitution. What are these?
First of all, you have to understand that under the IMC, we have different committees. Like one, we have the governance committee that is working on the constitution.
Yes.
When you talk about competition, we have the competition management committee. Those subcommittees are doing their best job. So
that is just outside of that.
Yes.
But the question is, what is it about the constitution?
Yes, I'm getting there. Also, the governance committee had sent out what they call the timelines for us to adhere to as counties, also the national. So that, first of all, they send out a draft constitution that today, on 19th, we were supposed to have what they call the constitutional conference, discuss the draft, and then from there have elections on 26th. As we talk, people have already sent out the nominations. So everything is set. They're doing what they can. But as you've said, if the mother body has said that we'll have to look at what you have done so that we can be able to set out an election date, that's B, because now we under FINA. There's nothing we can do.
Okay,
but as I talk, I think there's a lot of progress.
But Coach, Ken, this is what I will say. Anytime I look at a federation, when I look at FIFA, when I look at the IAAF, when I think about the cricket board, when I think about handball, when I think about tennis, there is a reflection that if you move from the global body to a continental body like CANA and to the Kenyan body now, which is a KSF from FINA, is that each looks more like a miniature form of the other in terms of structure. So the whole thing is that the roles are given: promote aquatics, foster cooperation, engage consultative meetings. That's just part of the talk.
Yes.
But when it comes down to this, it's all about how do you constitute these bodies such that every constitution is there? Because, for example, they say you have a technical committee, and this is 19 of FINA. They say there is a competitions committee, there is a technical committee, there are judicial panels, and when you look at how these things are organized, what is it that is in this proposed constitution that FINA is not happy with?
I might not be very privy to what FINA might not be happy with, but what I can tell you is that normally what we do, or normally what happens world over, is that the international constitution, what do you call it? The national constitution should mirror the international constitution.
With adaptation.
Adaptation, yes. And then
with adaptations for the local thing, because we've moved away from districts to counties and things like that.
Yes. And then there is a sports act, which we're also supposed to make sure that it's part of what we do. We have to be subject to that as well. And then the law of the land, because that also has to be taken into consideration when you're making constitution. And constitution making is a process, and everyone has got a stake. So as we talk...
What does Nairobi have a stake, for example, in this constitution? Because that's where you're from.
I am from Nairobi, but you know, as a Nairobi county, we are unique from maybe Turkana or any other. So the things that we do, the numbers that we have. So like, if we talk about the management in Nairobi, you need to find out a way that you can be able to accommodate everyone. So you cannot have a constitution that is the same as like the one for Turkana County. So that's why I'm talking about uniqueness. But that does not tell us that we need to be totally unique. We should mirror the national, and the national should mirror the international body.
So, in short, what is it that needs to be done? Because the story is about swimming, the fight between Nairobi and the National Federation, competitions when it comes to this. Nairobi doesn't want to be involved in KSF. Nairobi Amateur Swimming Association looks like this. What is it that needs to be done? Because this is what needs to be put to an end.
As we talk right now...
no reconciliation had to be done.
And as we talk right now, you know, even Nairobi is under the IMC. It's a creation of Nairobi IMC. Remember, we had NASA and we had KSF Nairobi. Yes. And the IMC collapsed both associations into one. So we have the KSF Nairobi County that is run by officials that were mandated from both sides, NASA and KSF Nairobi. So we don't have any problem with what is going on. We don't fight them. But you see, in a constitutional process, you have to come out and tell exactly, give your views. So Nairobi just gave their views, like any other, like Kakasa or Nyasa or any other. So we are not really in fight or conflict with anyone, but the most important thing is that we're saying this is what we want. And I think in the draft, maybe they have picked up a few areas that we needed.
So at the end of the day,
yes,
are we going to have a body that is basically under the judiciary, not running swimming anymore? Directing swimming in this country.
No.
Because ideally, the interim management committee is being run by the chair of the Sports Dispute Tribunal.
Yes, I know that.
Which ideally means that he should be solving cases to do with, doping. You've sued a federation for not being paid, or your club, rather than running affairs where probably, things that are happening in Makini, or things, keeping records and finding out if you use the right timing equipment.
Honestly, what I'll tell you is he has done a good job to bring all parties together so that they can reason together and move the sport to the next level.
So the IMC has brought sanity to the sport.
It has, as we talk, they have held the sport together, and that's where we are now, and that's where we are able to talk about what is happening in the constitution. And the beauty part is that people are talking, and when people talk in the constitutional process, that means there's something that is coming out positively. So,
as we wind up, Coach Kenneth Karani, this is what I want to tell me. Which is the way forward for Kenyan swimming? Are we going to see more growth? Is it instant, or is it going to take time?
Let me tell you, by the end of this month, you'll hear something about the Constitution. Once we get the Constitution in place, that is the guiding factor. If we are guided by or are guided by the Constitution, we get the things right. So I'm very positive that things are moving. Right now in Nairobi, for example, we are preparing a big event that is kind of coming between the 28th and 1st of December. That tells you that Kenya is really ranked as one of the best in the world, in Africa, in Canathlon 3. So we are doing very well, and we're hopeful. After the Constitution, we get the right people in place, get our acts together, focus on what we want to do, get good coaches around, coaching clinics, get the swimmers in place, and good facilities as well, and good support from the government and also from other stakeholders or other sponsors, I might say. That is going to take swimming to the next level. Swimming is not cheap. I'm telling you, just to get in that water is not cheap. That means we need partners to come in and support it. And we need people to focus and see the value that the likes of the Danforth have done in this country.
Oh, by the way, are we going to get a 50-meter pool like that? We know it's 49 meters. Is it going to get 50 meters? Have you lobbied quickly?
We're trying to do that, but Sports Kenya,
all right, we'll deal with Sports Kenya on its own.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Kenneth Karani from Nairobi, he is a member of the Kenya Swimming Federation, and he coaches swimming, you know, how to move fast in water. And it's all about the Kenya Swimming Federation, you know, the things that have been there in the past and getting it back on its own right, and to ensure that they get onto the right lane, as they would say in swimming. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.